pochi 50, smartphones na zawadi zingine. Jumanne tarehe 19 tutakuwa Nakuru, maeneo ya Naivasha, Gilgil, Nyahururu, Olkalau, Subukia, Bahati, Langa, na keshowe tarehe 20 tutakuwa Nakuru Town na viunga vyake, Njoro, Elbagon, Molo na Mau Summit. Pata app ya Risiti Legit kwa Google Play Store au App Store kwa maelezo ya kuingia katika mashindano ya Risiti Legit. G-Nice na Risiti Legit. KRA, tulipe ushuru tujitegemee.
All right, listen up. Colocate is on a mission.
It makes our gums happy and our teeth strong. See?
We're moving forward and making changes.
It's kind of a big thing.
Colgate Herbal uses traditional nature's herbs and combines it with Colgate Science for healthy gums and strong teeth.
And we'll leave no smile behind.
Did you know that as a pension scheme member, you have several rights that protect your savings and ensure your future is secure? First, once you exit your scheme, the law provides that you receive payment within 30 days, and you can transfer your benefits from one scheme to another within 60 days. You have options on exit to take cash, defer, or transfer your benefits. You also have the right to access and interrogate scheme documentation, attend annual general meetings, receive annual benefit statements, and nominate beneficiaries. Further, your pension savings are safeguarded by law, so scheme funds cannot be used to settle loans. Member benefits are protected from execution or attachment, even in cases of bankruptcy or death. The Retirement Benefits Authority plays a crucial role in managing your scheme. We supervise continuously, receiving quarterly and annual submissions from trustees and service providers. Your pension is in safe hands. Know your rights and trust Retirement Benefits Authority to keep your future secure. For more information, visit our website www.rba.go.ke, call our toll-free line on 0800 720 300 or email info@rba.go.ke. Secure your future, secure your peace of mind. RBA, safeguarding your retirement benefits.
And the National Assembly have finally agreed on 387 billion Kenyan shillings to be disbursed to counties. Of course, this follows a heated push and pull between the two houses on the division of revenue. That and so much more is what forms the bulk of our broadcast tonight.
And of course, as we talk about the push and pull, we know the conversation that has been ongoing regarding the rollout of the Social Health Insurance Fund. And who is better to answer the questions you have regarding SHIF and SHA, as Kenyans have christened it? The Cabinet Secretary for Health, Dr. Deborah Barasa, is with us right here in studio tonight to answer to some of those questions regarding the rollout of SHIF and the Social Health Authority. And all those questions will be answered here tonight by Dr. Deborah Barasa, who has already joined us in studio. We'll have a scintillating conversation a little bit later.
Indeed, and this is where to keep it locked for that candid conversation. Our top stories tonight.
I have instructed the criminal justice actors to execute their mandate without delay, holding perpetrators of femicide fully accountable.
The femicide debate. President Ruto directs all criminal justice players to act swiftly to bring to an end the killing of women and girls. Ministry of Lands on high alert following the loss of hundreds of land security documents at the government printer. And the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights calls for an end to alleged police brutality and arbitrary arrests. Brian Muraru is our sign language interpreter. My name is John Jacob Kioria. You're very much welcome to the broadcast.
And I'm Doreen Arange.
To start us off tonight, President William Ruto has instructed the criminal justice system actors to expedite prosecution of perpetrators of femicide.
While urging the society to be proactive in protecting girls and women, he said the government is fully committed to ensuring that justice is swift and efficient.
The government has set aside 100 million shillings towards the Safe Homes, Safe Spaces campaign, which seeks to create awareness for gender-based violence countrywide.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Karibuni.
Wednesday at State House, Nairobi, President William Ruto met elected women leaders to chart the way forward on the increased femicide cases in the country. While decrying the increased cases, especially by intimate partners, the president called for swift action from the criminal justice actors.
We know that every 4 out of 5 women killed is out of intimate partner violence, which means that our women are being killed in places they consider safe. I have instructed the criminal justice actors to execute their mandate without delay, holding perpetrators of femicide fully accountable.
The head of state also called for the enhancement of gender desks at police stations.
And we will introduce similar gender desks services in hospitals to ensure victims receive immediate attention and care.
President Ruto called for concerted efforts in combating the vice, while at the same time urging women and girls to be cautious when interacting with strangers, especially on social media, to avoid falling prey.
Social media has become a dangerous avenue for exploitation, and I urge our young people to treat strangers on these platforms with utmost caution. Parents, schools, churches, and community organizations must step up to provide life skills, counseling, and guidance to our young people.
He emphasized the importance of educating the public and announced that 100 million shillings has been set aside for the Safe Homes, Safe Spaces campaign.
The women leaders standing here have agreed to embark on a nationwide awareness campaign to confront this vice head-on. This campaign will have the full support of my administration, and we are committing Kenya shillings 100 million for the Safe Home, Safe Spaces campaign.
The campaign coincides with the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence that will be observed between the 25th of November to the 10th of December 2024. According to a report by police towards the end of October 2024, 97 cases of women killed in the last 3 months had been reported. At a time when the country is grappling with increased femicide cases, President William Ruto has challenged all stakeholders to play an active role in ensuring the safety of women and girls. Nancy Okware, reporting from State House, Nairobi.
Sticking with the war on femicide, only 45% of women in the country have registered themselves on the Social Health Authority scheme as compared to 51% of men.
According to the Deputy Government spokesperson, Mwanaisha Chizuga, the lack of identification cards and societal challenges have denied many women a chance to enlist in the new health scheme.
Meanwhile, the State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action Principal Secretary Anne Wangombe is challenging men to step up their roles in fighting retrogressive cultural practices perpetuating femicide in the country.
With the country set to observe the 30th anniversary of the 4th World Conference on Women and adaptation of the 1995 Beijing Declaration, the government is urging the cessation of cultural practices advancing gender-based violence in the society. Speaking in Nairobi during a media roundtable ahead of the 30th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration on the Empowerment of Women, State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action Principal Secretary Anne Wangombe has refuted claims the recent cases of femicide in the country are a result of male gender being neglected in the nation's development agenda.
In the past, men used to spend time, or rather fathers used to spend time with their sons to guide them on ways of life, to counsel them. But it is no longer the case.
She further says the country has made huge strides in addressing 12 areas of concerns, including the inclusion of women in power and decision-making, which were emphasized in the Beijing conference.
We are not yet there, but basically I can say among the African countries, we are among the best in terms of achievements of these 12 action points.
Meanwhile, Deputy Government spokesperson Mwanaisha Chizuga has decried low numbers of women who have been enlisted on the Social Health Authority platform.
Ni asilimia 45 wanawake wameweza kujisajili katika mpango wa SHA na asilimia 51 ya wanaume wameweza kujiandikisha kwa SHA. Tumeweka mfumo maalum ya kwamba hakuna mama ambaye atakosa kusajiliwa kwa sababu hana stakabadhi muhimu ya kitambulisho au atakosa kupata huduma za afya kupitia mpango wa SHA kwa sababu hana kitambulisho.
Joseph Ohungu for Prime Edition.
In the meantime, a section of human rights defenders have called for speedy investigations and prosecution of security officers found to have engaged in acts of police brutality.
This even as the Law Society of Kenya demanded urgent compensation of families of victims of police brutality, insisting on the need to cease alleged unlawful arrests and abductions.
The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights says it recorded 74 cases of enforced disappearance in the period between June and November 2024.
The Commission has documented 1,376 arbitrary arrests, as well as 610 cases of injuries from June 18 to November 2024. Of the injuries were inflicted by the security officers against protesters.
Out of these, the Commission, through its chair, Rosalyn Odede, says at least 26 people are still missing in the aftermath of the Anti-Finance Bill 2024 protest. It is against this backdrop that the Commission called on the government to step up efforts to address the alleged police brutality and prosecute culprits.
We call upon IPOA and to investigate and recommend charges against any officers implicated in extrajudicial killings. We further call on the government to adopt the Minnesota Protocol on the investigation of potentially unlawful death.
Abductions, torture, disappearances, arbitrary arrests ought to be investigated for the country to establish what exactly happened during the 2023 Azimio-led demonstrations and the 2024 Gen Z-led #RejectFinanceBill demonstrations.
Sentiments echoed by the Law Society of Kenya, who now want the Independent Policing Oversight Authority IPOA adequately resourced to thoroughly probe alleged acts of police brutality.
Subject to the report of the Independent Policing Oversight Authority and the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the National Security Council to direct the Inspector General of Police to open disciplinary proceedings against all perpetrators of police misconduct or brutality and torture, and that the reports of such proceedings be availed to the Director of Public Prosecution for the institution of criminal charges.
The Law Society of Kenya also demanded compensation of families of all confirmed victims of alleged police torture.
The families of all confirmed victims of police killings be traced, and that the Independent Police Oversight Authority and the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights provide Our Excellency, the President, with a rationalized formula for determining adequate compensation for the loss and suffering incidental to the death of their kin.
The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights also urged the National Treasury to disburse optimal resources to agencies handling the Shakahola massacre, noting that less than 10% of the 448 bodies discovered in the tragedy have been identified and handed over to the families for interment.
We have called as a commission for resources to be availed to various agencies, including the government chemists. The reagents, particularly for DNA profiling, are fairly expensive, and these had not been factored in the budget of the government chemists, they tell us, because they had not anticipated this magnitude of work.
John Kahiro, Prime Edition.
Now, President William Ruto has reiterated the need to review Kenya's foreign policy to align it with global trends while protecting national interests.
He was addressing a consultative conference to review Kenya's foreign policy at the Kenyatta International Convention Center in Nairobi.
Kenya's head of state, President William Ruto, says that the country's drive to bring about national economic reforms requires a forward-looking, stable, patriotic, and people-oriented foreign policy.
Globalization has driven intensive integration and interdependence, blurring the line between domestic and foreign policy. This makes it imperative to redefine and reestablish a distinct, comprehensive foreign policy framework. And this is the exercise this ministry is engaged in.
It is our desire that through this kind of interaction, under your leadership, Your Excellency, we can perhaps coin something that we might call foreign policy machinani, so that we can get the ordinary citizen, the young men and women of this country, to understand why it is important for a nation to engage with the globe.
He said reviewing the 2014 Kenyan foreign policy would boost the country's investment appeal and its stature in international diplomacy.
And sustaining this positive legacy is an important strategic priority for us.
This, our national interest, is essential to our national survival. And therefore, this foreign policy is about the sustainability of our country in the decades and centuries to come.
He, however, lauded diplomatic achievements achieved so far.
I commend the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary and the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs for their thorough, consultative, and inclusive manner in which they have undertaken their work, and call upon all of us, all the stakeholders, both in private and public, as well as our local, regional, and international partners, to collaborate with us.
In the draft document that has been in the pipeline for 7 months now, has 10 objectives that include protecting Kenya's sovereignty and territorial integrity, promoting and protecting the country's global image and prestige, while prioritizing peace and security diplomacy, economic and commercial diplomacy, and global governance. The draft policy will also be presented to Parliament for consideration before its launch in December. Kenya's first foreign policy since independence was published in 2014, providing a reference point on the country's foreign relations. Opito Chemtai for Prime Edition.
The Kenya Broadcasting Corporation Managing Director Agnes Kaleche has challenged staff at the KBC's regional Sauti House office in Mombasa to always think of how to generate revenue to fund its operations.
Speaking during a familiarization tour of Sauti House, Kaleche emphasized the need for the regional office to always think of being self-sustaining in its undertaking away from the head office.
Wednesday morning, the new Kenya Broadcasting Corporation Managing Director Agnes Kaleche, accompanied by Human Resource Manager Daniel Okoth and other senior officials toward the KBC's regional office at Sauti House in Mombasa. The Managing Director taking time to engage with staff in a bid to understand their work environment, operational needs and the challenges. Kaleche urging staff to always think of how to generate revenue to finance operations of the regional office.
I want you to run as a P&L, whereby even the revenues you create should be able to ensure that your operation runs efficiently. If it's revenue, I want a situation whereby if at all you guys are brought in 3 million and your operation is 700, you already have some money. So when requests are come to Nairobi, I should be able to approve because Mombasa is profitable. So let's start thinking in a kind of enterprise way. Now, KBC has been registered as a commercial entity, meaning, yes, we have a public service mandate of public broadcasting, but we also have a commercial enterprise wing whereby we are able to generate revenue.
The managing director taking the opportunity to commend the staff for their hard work and exemplary service delivery.
I want to commend this team. I think this is the first time, the first region I've been told that we've done automation in our processes. Let this be the champion of ensuring that all processes are automated so that the leaks that we are having as a corporation are eliminated. So I want 2 years down the line for the Coast region to be the most profitable region in terms of revenue, in terms of operation. I want you guys to be the champion so that even Nairobi, they'll be coming here for benchmarking. So well done.
She urged the Pwani FM team to always be responsive to changing audience preferences.
The stations around this region, how do we compare? In terms of our editorial, do our stories resonate with the public? Are we giving what the stories that the public want? So let's challenge ourselves. Let it be a new beginning as we go forward. Let's start thinking, changing our mindset, knowing that this is ours. Pwani is ours. The Coast region is our region, and you have to do whatever it takes to take it further.
For Prime Edition, I'm Abdulaziz Abeid.
First Lady Rachel Ruto says the government is committed to welfare of children in Kenya with a special focus on ensuring that every child in the country has an opportunity to learn free from the burdens of hunger and malnutrition.
The First Lady, who celebrated the World Children's Day in Nakuru County at the Kaptembwa Primary School, said Kenya intends to attain the universal school feeding target of 10 million meals daily by 2030, and that currently the country is feeding about 2.5 million children daily.
The First Lady shared her broad ambition to support school feeding through the establishment of kitchen gardens and fruit gardens and supporting the production of food in schools.
She also celebrated her birthday with the students and had a session to teach the children how to cook chapati, and later shared a meal with them with a promise to be the voice of all young people in the country.
To let hunger steal our children's potential anymore. During the International Women's Day celebrations in March this year, our president asked me to champion the voice of children in the nation. This is a call we have embraced and laid out in 3 broad areas: child provision, child participation, and child protection. We are starting with child provision by supporting the ongoing school feeding program in the country. We are championing the sustainability component of school feeding through school-based food production programs that target learning institutions, like you can see in the branded items that we have today: Feed One and Hunger.
Now, the Mediation Committee on the Division of Revenue Bill has agreed that 387 billion shillings be disbursed to county governments.
The committee, which included representation from both the Senate and the National Assembly, also committed to expediting the enactment of the Division of Revenue Bill and the County Allocation of Revenue Bill within 2 weeks to protect the counties from cash starvation.
But the national government steals more than the governors. And you have 3.2 trillion. Chair, I'm so frustrated.
After a heated push and pull between senators and members of the National Assembly in the Mediation Committee on the Division of Revenue Bill,
even what we agree here, the president constitutionally has the veto power to bring back to parliament. But I cannot accept the position that we are going to negotiate division of revenue in State House. That is not going to happen.
The committee, co-chaired by Dindi Nyoro and Senator Ali Roba, agreed on 387 billion shillings as the amount to be devolved to the 47 counties.
We have reinstated the figure that they got the last financial year of 385 billion, And on top of that, we have made and provisioned additional resources of Kenya shillings 2 billion.
I know our counties might be expecting a lot. Unfortunately, that a lot will be informed by reality. And reality has confined us to making this considered decision.
Both parties have agreed on a principle to work on, and that principle is based on a principle of retention and improvement of the allocation that was made to the counties last year.
The members of parliament agreed that despite the inadequacy of resources, there is need for retention and improvement of last year's allocation of 385 billion shillings. The Senate had proposed counties be allocated 400 billion shillings of the national revenue, while the National Assembly insisted the current economy could only allow devolution of 380 billion shillings. While committing to expedite the consideration of the Division of Revenue Bill and the County Allocation of Revenue Bill to avert a cash crunch in counties, the members of parliament demanded prudence in the utilization of the funds.
Now that the counties will receive the money, they need to make sure that at least they cap on wastage, they cap on corruption.
We would also want to tell our governors, having fought so hard to at least show some growth in the allocation that we got, we would want them to also put in place austerity measures to curb wastage, to curb corruption.
The two houses are expected to consider the bills of county funds before the break for recess in 2 weeks. Gishoki Washira, Prime Edition.
Time for a first breather on Prime Edition. But a reminder, our big conversation tonight focuses on the rollout of the Social Health Insurance Fund. And to speak to us is Dr. Deborah Mulongo Barasa, who is the Cabinet Secretary for the Ministry of Health. She has answers for you. Don't go too far.
Wewe bro, nipatie hiyo risiti ya items. Wazi wazi.
Cheki, mimi sina ado hizo
Excuse, nilete risiti yangu ya items. Asante.
Ni pesa ngapi?
3,000. Hebu nisaidie na ile risiti ya items.
Nimeshinda mili. I'm the latest millionaire. Marry me, baby.
Yes! Guys, nimeshinda laptop. Nimeshinda TV 50 inches.
G-Nice na Risiti Legit promotion kutoka KRA. Download Risiti Legit app, scan QR code kwenye risiti yako, ujishindie zawadi kem kila wiki. Kuna grand prize ya milioni 3 kwa washindi 3 milioni kila mmoja.
Star 570 hash. Option 1 kuna PS5 na ni full package na inakuja na JBL Party Box. Your boom experience pia iko.
Agatha, hebu funga hiyo mdomo yako kubwa. Look here, Kemunto. As I said, we have work to do. So please, excuse us.
Teacher, is a teacher in order calling us low lives? Me low lives.
Can you stop interrupting my line of presentation?
Sir, what is that you're taking that is making you frown?
No, this is chamomile tea with a pinch of turmeric, cardamom and cinnamon.
All of you are rusas, I'm telling you. Rusas nyinyi wote.
Welcome back. You watching the Prime Edition. In a bit, we'll be joined by the Cabinet Secretary, the Ministry of Health, Dr. Deborah Barasa, who is already with us in studio. But before we do that, let's just get some quick reaction regarding the rollout of SHIF. And remember, that is the Social Health Insurance Fund that is being managed under the Social Health Authority. Let's have a look at that story.
Chronic illnesses, the indigent and marginalized communities are the hardest hit, with the disruptions in access to life-saving treatments such as dialysis, cancer therapies, and maternal health care. The Commission, therefore, calls on the Ministry of Health, in conjunction with county governments, to engage in public participation and awareness, as well as inclusion, in the transition exercise from NHIF to SHIF, and urgently address the challenges faced by members of the public.
And it's time for us to have that conversation. Many have had their say, and of course tonight we are hosting Dr. Deborah Mulongo Barasa, the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Health. Has never done any other TV interview before. This is her first. Waziri, karibu sana to KBC. How are you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm doing well, and
yes.
Thank you, John, for hosting us.
Karibu sana.
Yeah.
You've seen the kind of reactions greeting the rollout of SHIF under SHA, and you've had Kenyans, joking around with SHA. Question is, how is your ministry dealing with these concerns that are emanating from members of the public regarding the rollout of SHIF?
Absolutely, that is a great question. First of all, I'd like to say that we have 14.8 million Kenyans who are currently registered under the Social Health Authority. So within just a short period, less than 50 days, we are having many Kenyans enrolling or registering into SHA, which is quite promising. And even the amount of money that we are collecting right now is quite promising. We are seeing sustainability in this program. And so we are confident that Kenyans will have affordable, accessible quality of care. And definitely, with a new program, seeing that it is nationally implemented, it is a paradigm shift, it's a transformative agenda, there are challenges that may come with it. And so yes, while we are rolling it out, we had a few challenges, including the system challenges that have actually been addressed. I've been able to visit multiple counties. And I've
no, go ahead.
Yeah, I've seen it's efficient and it's working quite well. So we appreciate the great work that the team is doing in terms of improving the digital health. Equally, one of the areas that we saw is the specialized groups, like the teenage mothers. Teenage pregnancies, they did not have identification cards, so they could not access the services. And so what we are doing is improving that, is having unique identifiers for teenage mothers, for refugees, for people who had mental illnesses or specialized cases like emergency cases, so that we ensure that they are seen promptly, and we have health service delivery in those specialized groups. And so with all these challenges we continue with training, we continue with sensitization, we continue to improve the digital platform. Ultimately, we are seeing that we'll have a seamless implementation, and universal health coverage will actually be a tangible reality in Kenya. Yes.
You're confirming to Kenyans tonight that you don't need an ID for your registration to the SHIF.
For specialized groups, say for instance teenage mothers, teenage mothers will not have an ID. At times you may have a refugee who needs to have access to care, and they may not have the appropriate identification. Equally, the mental illnesses who are just maybe picked from the streets, or street children, okay, or street adults, yeah? So those are special or unique cases, and we are saying we are leaving no one behind. Every Kenyan must be able to access quality care services. And so that is why we are saying that was a challenge before, because we were relying or dependent on the identification card. Even as the immigration ministry addresses the issues of identification cards, we are saying Kenyans should be able to access services no matter who you are. And so that is why we are having those leeways, we're having those discussions, and we're having unique identifiers. For the NHIF, again, the motivation was again a challenge. You know, they were not confident, they were not well informed if they will be onboarded or not. And so we have engaged them. You see that there are over 1,700 NHIF staff, and we have 70 NHIF branches, which we are now calling the Social Health Authority branches. So a ratio of 1 to 70 healthcare providers. And indeed, these are people, you know, human resource capacity that we can use in terms of strengthening the healthcare providers, strengthening and informing the community, informing, you know, being used as for sales and marketing of the Social Health Authority, ensuring that employers onboard their employees, among others. So again, we are encouraging the NHIF staff. We are having a seamless transition. We are telling them that none of them will lose their jobs, and they will keep the very same salary that they will have. So we have had critical measures in place together with the public service to ensure that no one will lose their job. So now they are motivated, now they are going to the field. We are ensuring that they are you know, engaging the healthcare providers and ensuring that gradually, slowly by slowly, Kenyans are informed about social health authority.
You've mentioned about NHIF, and let's get this out of it, because this was one of the questions that are coming from members of the public. Why it was necessary to move from NHIF to SHIF?
Yes, that is a wonderful question. First of all, NHIF was really focused on the employed. Yeah? Very few Kenyans, about 20% of Kenyans would actually access these services. So with the universal health coverage, we are saying that we should leave no Kenyan behind. So everyone should be able to access affordable quality care. And that is why social health insurance or social health authority came in, so that all Kenyans can be able to access services, no matter, you know, your class, whether you're poor, whether you're vulnerable, whether you're disability, depending on your, you know, financial capacity. There's a proportion of contribution that you're able to make. And if you're unable to make the very same contribution, you can still access the very same services that a rich person can access. So for me, even coming from that, you know, medical background, I have seen patients who come into a facility and they are told to, you know, you need to pay 500,000 shillings, you need to pay, you know, 1 million shillings for a certain service. And you see them just going home and, you know, going to die at home. But with this, we are assuring Kenyans that they'll be able to access the very same services that the rich people are accessing. And so what we are saying, let us on board, let us register so that we can access these services.
You're mentioning the benefits. My question to you, in your assessment of a ministry, as a ministry, do you feel like there's a general misunderstanding around SHIF and the benefits thereof?
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a misunderstanding. For instance, in the political elite, we were expecting that they would fully understand the scope and of the benefits. This is because, first of all, as we had said earlier, the Social Health Authority has 3 funds. The Primary Healthcare Fund, the Emergency Chronic and Critical Illness Fund, as well as the Social Health Insurance Funds. So the ones who will benefit more are at the county level, because for every facility, let's say for instance the primary healthcare facility, they will be able to receive the Primary Healthcare Fund, and equally the Emergency Chronic Critical Illness Fund. And for the higher levels of care, for Social Health Insurance Fund, depending on the claims that have been processed by a facility. And so the facilities are the one that would benefit, and that is why we are calling upon the counties, the political elite, MPs, senators, you know, MCAs. Let us encourage people to register. And you know, for the capitation, for the number of people you register within your constituency or your county, then you'll be able to get the capitation. So that is 900 shillings per person. So the more they register, the more they are seeing patients, the more they are likely to get these funds, and they are likely to improve the capacity of their facility, meaning that they'll have better human resources, medications will be available, services will be available, equipments will be available. And that is why we are calling first upon the political elite to join us in this. Equally for the religious leaders, because we are looking at affordable, accessible care to all Kenyans. The Kenyan people. And yes, we see that, you know, with the NHIF previously, what was happening is that the level 4, 5, and 6 were the ones who would benefit more in terms of receiving primary health care fund and also NHI, that is the National Health Insurance Funds. But with this system, we are also strengthening the primary health care regions, that is the dispensary as well as the health centers, and that is through giving them funds. So even for the other levels of care, they can consider having primary health care, you know, facilities within, so that they will have that referral system and they would also benefit from the primary health care fund. So we are saying we are leaving no one behind. We are flexible to those changes, aligning with what we have said within the laws that have been developed by the ministry and of course by the parliament, to ensure that there is that strengthened referral mechanism, but everyone is benefiting from the system.
I want you to take us through the specific benefits, particularly for chronically ill patients, because much of the concentration has been around patients who walk in and then probably finally don't end up having any form of treatment, or they have been told to pay upfront, or sometimes have challenges with payment with a shift card. And that has been the concentration. The question is, what are the other benefits, you know, beyond this walk-in patients who get medication through the shift card? What are the other benefits for the other clusters of patients visiting our hospitals?
Yes, that's a wonderful question. And, you know, coming from the medical profession, even as we were transitioning, we were very keen to look at the patients, the chronic patients who are being transitioned. That's the dialysis patients, the patients on cancer, you know, chemotherapy, because those would need to have that seamless transition. So we were keeping an eye on that. And what I can inform Kenyans is that there is a lot of benefit when it comes to the social health insurance funds for chronic illnesses. Say, for instance, for renal patients. First of all, we have the preventive component, where we have our community health promoters going to the communities to look at blood pressure, sugar, among other, you know, diagnostic indicators that would cause one to have kidney conditions. Again, there are those screening that would take place in the primary health care. And those ones, again, you know, primary health care facilities, the investigations are really free of charge. Now, those investigations would include blood investigations, urinary investigations, among others. Now, if there's need to escalate, again, there are those investigations that are covered under social health insurance funds. And they include looking at your kidney, etc. So again, we have the pre-transplant. In case, first of all, in case a patient needs dialysis, again, we have better services when it comes to dialysis. The sessions of dialysis and increase, the amount is increased. Again, if a patient wants to go for transplant, there's the pre-transplant, and then during transplant and post-transplant, and even for the donor, coming to around over 1 million Kenyan shillings. And we have seen, actually I was in Kenyatta National Hospital, where I was happy to see one patient who had been successfully transplanted, and the donor, who was the wife, was there. And we hope that we could even have a coverage of that story one of these days, so that patients are now informed that the agenda is transformative. We want to change the health system. We want to ensure that even the chronic illness patients are also engaged fully, and we are giving them quality care services. For cancer patients as well, We have also expanded from the screening component at primary healthcare level, coming even to the management of cases and rehabilitation. And we are looking to engage more the stakeholders, the manufacturers, the oncologists, the nurses, etc., to ensure that we have the best package for them. You know, previously when healthcare providers would buy medicines, you know, as a facility or as a healthcare provider, the cost would be high, especially for chemotherapy medications that would go up to 300,000 Kenyan shillings. But when we have bulk procurement as a ministry, we see that the costs actually decrease. We were having engagements and we were seeing costs decreasing from 300,000 to around 50,000 or 30,000. And so this is the thing that we're looking into as a ministry. How do we ensure that there is bulk procurement so that our patients are also not suffering, especially the patients who have cancer? How do we engage them? We are having a lot of support groups with cancer patients. We are engaging the various stakeholders to ensure that they have quality services. And so we look forward to having improved services. I know this the program was just rolled out recently. The Social Health Insurance Fund is really less than 50 days old. But you can imagine in 50 days, we are achieving this. How much more, you know, at 6 months, at 1 year, etc. So we are asking colleagues, please support us. This is for the benefit of we Kenyans. Yeah, even when you retire, when you lose your job, you never know when a disease is coming, knocking at your door. So let us utilize this platform, because we are very privileged that this government, there's good political will from the highest office, which rarely happens, you know, coming from a public health perspective, it rarely happens. So when we have that strong political will to change the health sector for the better and for the best of all of us Kenyans, then we need to take advantage. We need to, you know, seize the opportunity and ensure that we utilize it as much as possible, that ultimately will have a strengthened health system.
All right. There's some clips I want us to listen to here. And by the way, we also have testimonials of some of people really who've benefited from the works of Social Health Insurance Fund, but we'll play them later. For now, there's one of your clips responding to the critics of the Social Health Insurance Fund, but there's also what the clinical officers have been saying regarding the working out of shift. Let's just have a listen in.
The implementation of the new Social Health Authority has continued to face setbacks, with the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers National Chairman Peterson Wachira faulting the Social Health Authority Board for failing to register more than 1,000 health facilities. Wachira accuses the Social Health Authority Board of discriminating against the said facilities, which are under the Kenya Clinical Officers Council that offer primary health care across the country, and recognizing only hospitals registered under the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentist Council.
Kuna Wakenya zaidi ya milioni 4.5 ambao wametoa nje ya hii bima. Hawawezi wakapata zile huduma za afya chini ya SHA wakati tunaongea hapa. Kwa sababu kuna hospitali zaidi ya 1,000 ambazo zilikuwa zimeweza zikaratibiwa na NHIF, lakini sasa hazijaratibiwa, hazioni Wakenya kutumia hii bima ya afya, na wale Wakenya pale nje wanaumia. Na ndio unaona hata usajili unakuwa chini. Kwa sababu Mkenya anajiuliza, hii ilikuwa ni hospitali yangu, imenyimwa ile kandarasi, hawawezi wakatumia SHA kunipatia ile huduma. Mbona naambiwa nijisajili na ile bima haitanisaidia?
Wachira further noted the exclusion has impacted hundreds of patients who have requested authorization to get specialized services from facilities run by clinical officers.
Kuna wagonjwa zaidi ya 500 ambao walikuwa wanangoja kufanyiwa cataract surgeries, hawawezi wakazipata. Kuna wale walikuwa na mashida ya koo, mashida ya masikio, mashida ya mapua, ambao walifaa kuonekana na kuweza kupata zile huduma, ambao hawawezi wakazipata kwa sababu ya utekelezaji ambao unaenda kinyume na sheria pale kwa SHA board.
The union now says it will write a petition to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to investigate into the alleged vested interests at the Social Health Authority Board.
Tungetaka kujulisha rais ya kwamba wale watu wamepatia hii kazi, kuna watu wameleta ubinafsi na ufisadi, na wanafanya Mkenya wa kawaida asiweze akapata ile huduma. Na kwa hivyo ni lazima ile board iko aidha iache kutelekeza wengine, kufanya discrimination kwa hospitali zingine. Kama hawawezi wakafanya, mimi nitamuomba rais
I'm sure, CS, you've noted that, but we will come back so that you respond. Let's just take one very quick commercial breather and then come back and continue with the conversation. Don't go too far. We're speaking with Dr. Deborah Mulongo Barasta, who is the Cabinet Secretary in charge of the Ministry of Health.
Je, ungependa kuwa mshindi na Lucky Box? Ni rahisi sana.
Bonyeza *463# uwe mshindi.
Kuwa rahisi kufika hapa, ni nguvu zake. Nilijua utafanya.
Long as tu umeingia age fulani ya puberty, umeingia umekuwa tini, it's something that is going to affect you. And today we want to talk about purity.
So I'm a minister of the word, and as a young lady, you know, you can be invited somewhere to go and preach, and you know, someone is going to look at you and think like, huyu sasa pia anaweza preach kweli.
Nini unafikiria ina affect matini sana?
Secular music, or rather the content that young people are listening to, is what is really corrupting them.
Kila mtu anaweza kuwa mshindi. Bonyeza *463#. Uwe mshindi. Kuchagua box ni kuchagua chapa.
Kumbuka, kila unapocheza Lucky Box unasaidia watoto kusoma.
Mamlaka ya ukusanyaji ushuru nchini inakuletea kampeni ya umma ya G-Nice na Risiti Legit. Thibitisha risiti yako ukitumia app ya Risiti Legit, upate nafasi ya kuibuka mshindi wa zawadi kemkem kama vile shilingi milioni 1 pesa taslim, laptops, televisheni ya inchi 50, smartphones na zawadi zingine. Jumanne tarehe 19 tutakuwa Nakuru, maeneo ya Naivasha, Gilgil, Nyahururu, Olkalau, Subukia, Bahati, Langa, na keshowe tarehe 20 tutakuwa Nakuru Town na viunga vyake, Njoro, Elbagon, Molo na Mau Summit. Pata app ya Risiti Legit kwa Google Play Store au App Store kwa maelezo ya kuingia katika mashindano ya Risiti Legit. G-Nice na Risiti Legit. KRA, tulipe ushuru tujitegemee.
Welcome back. You're watching the Prime Edition. We're still on set with the Cabinet Secretary of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Deborah Barasta. Before we took a breather, and of course you saw what the clinicians are talking about, but let's first deal with the issue of pending bills, because I mean it's been one of the hottest issues this last few weeks. And during the Mashujadi, the President announced a payment of about 5 billion shillings going to facilities that were owed by the defunct NHIF, but there still appears to be other pending bills. What are you doing to end that stalemate?
Yes, that is a wonderful question. And indeed, that is how we buy in the trust of our healthcare providers, by ensuring that we pay the bill. And so we are looking to pay again another 2.5 billion. Let us remember that by the end of November, we are also paying the first payment for this from the Social Health Insurance Fund, meaning all the hospitals, all the facilities that were contracted under the Social Health Insurance Fund will receive their first payment. Equally, for the Primary Health Care Fund, following the capitation, some money will also be sent. And we look also to capacitate in terms of the emergency funds. And so what we are calling upon for healthcare providers is to contract. Yeah? Once there is a contract signed, then they'll be able to access these funds and they can capacitate and build their facilities. But again, let us remember that most of these funds, actually a big chunk of these funds was actually more than 5 years old. So these were old debts that have actually been carried into this new government. But again, it is our responsibility, and we'll ensure that we are paying all the healthcare providers the money that is owed to them.
There was a question raised there by the clinicians regarding, I think, registered hospitals that were previously under NHIF, but then didn't find favor probably with the registration process with CHIF. Yet there were patients who were being treated probably for chronic diseases in these facilities, and now they can be able to access this medication or treatment because the hospital has been locked out of CHIF. How are you dealing with that? Because it's also a very serious complaint.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've had more than 8,000 facilities being, empaneled, again contracted. So we actually have more facilities, actually almost twice the amount of facilities that were previously under NHIF. That is why we want accessible services to all Kenyans. And so it may be that the facilities have not contracted, or maybe there could be some concerns, maybe regulatory concern. But what we are encouraging facilities is to sign the contracts, okay? So once they are signed, then they will be able, their people will be able to access these services, and then they will also access the funds. And so this is for their benefit. This is the benefit for the county governments as well. So again, they should be the ones encouraging healthcare facilities within their county to e-contract, and they'll be able to offer services to Kenyans.
All right. Ask the CS how she's handling the matter of being asked for money upfront before you get treatment because she is not working. When it is not working, in instances when it is not working.
Yes. We are really working on that. And that is one thing when I'm talking to the digital health colleagues, I am really tasking them to ensure that the system is seamless. So in the first 2 weeks, that was a real major issue. But currently we are seeing that people are able to pay, and they're able to access the services. As I had told you, we attempted in Kisumu and it was successful. We've attempted in Homa Bay, it was successful. So everywhere we go, we want to see, is the system really working? And those are, again, the challenges that come with the digital system. But gradually, as I said, we are only less than 50 days old, and we are having teams on the ground, the social health authority teams, we are having ICT officers, we are having CECs, among other people, the county teams, to ensure that the system is seamless. Any challenges that are being faced are addressed at grassroots level, and those that need to be escalated up, say for instance, the identification that we talked about, are sent to a level for policy and direction, and then prompt implementation.
Much of a picture painted around Chief is a gloom picture, but is it? Let's get to hear from some of the people probably who have interacted with Chief.
Na so far hakuna kitu nimeitishwa pesa ama kuambiwa ninunue kitu yoyote na madaktari. Nimelipiwa na huduma ya SHA ambayo nilijisajili nayo. Nataka kushukuru wakurugenzi wa SHA kwa kuleta hiyo huduma, imetusaidia sana kama mama.
Mimi ndo baba mtoto. Leo nikuje niwakujie sababu ilikuwa siku yao ya kwenda nyumbani. Amelejesta kwa SHA, so naona hiyo itamkaa.
Guduliwa ni kama niko na kansa. Hiyo kansa sasa niko na session 3 kuendelea na kupatiwa dawa. Kwanza hii ndio ya 3. Wananipatianga 3 days per week. Kuna session 3. Siku za NHIF inalipa. Lakini sasa tumemigrate, tumeswitch. Naona the staff hapa wamesaidia. Imekuwa smooth. Sisi hapata shida. Kuna staff hapa wanahusika huko kindani. Nasikia tu anakuja, anataka kuniuliza maswali about the SHA, nawajibu. Na maneno inaendelea, wanafeed kwa hiyo kompyuta. Maneno inaendelea vizuri.
Huyu hapa kwa kanza ya ngozi ya screen. Nimeona matibabu imeendelea vizuri kutoka hapo. Nilikuwa kwa NHIF, nikatoka nikaambiwa niingie kwa SHA, na SHA nimeona iko afadhali kuliko hiyo NHIF. Saa hii nikikuja hospitali na kuenda ikiwa ni kupimwa na vimwandamu, hakuna kitu naulizwa. Na kuja hapa ni matibabu, hakuna kitu naulizwa. NHIF nimelipa, ndio imebadilishwa kuingia kwa SHA, na ndio nimetumia kuanzia leo hii.
At the current, our facility is offering dialysis with the SHA program, initially the NHIF. Then our bed capacity in our unit is 8. We have one in the isolation where we do infectious diseases like hepatitis B. The moment our patients are fully registered with SHA, they are so comfortable with SHA, they are at least the initial anxiety that they had about transiting from NHIF to SHA is now over. We've been able to convince them and they are taking it positively. At least I can say all of them are benefiting with the twice weekly dialysis that they are doing.
Clearly, it is not all gloom. There are those who are benefiting from the Social Health Insurance Fund, like the CSA is probably what you just need to do is to enroll on SHIF and get to figure it out yourself. But let's talk about the 300 shillings contribution. Who is contributing 300 shillings? We know, of course, for those employed, it is a one-off on their pay slip. But what about these 300 shillings?
Yes. So first of all, let me talk about the indigents. There are people in Kenya who cannot afford to pay. So using the means testing, we are able to identify and then the government will pay for them. Equally, we are using the Ministry of Social Protection to support us in that. And so what we are saying is that the needy in our community, needy Kenyans, will not be forced to pay. The vulnerable Kenyans will not be forced to pay. Mothers who come, and they're in labor, they don't have a job, their means testing is low, we will pay their premiums, not only for the antenatal, maybe for delivery and postnatal, but for the whole family, premiums for 1 year. So first of all, let us remember that the needy, the vulnerable are not going to pay. And those ones who also earn less than 15,000 again, the amount is reduced. And so we start from 300 shillings, but anyone who's 2.7 is below 300 shillings, then they pay. They don't pay anything. So you can see that we are all contributing to one pot, the rich, the poor, but having an equitable and also quality healthcare services. And as I said, because at times we hear, oh, you know, the quality is not yet there, but this is a gradual process. We are less than 50 days old, But the ultimate goal is to have quality services. After this, we are moving into the quality bill, among other bills. So really changing the health sector to ensure that it is resilient and it's supporting all Kenyans.
You've come into office when your ministry is really under sharp focus, particularly over this rollout and the transition from NHIF to SHIF. I actually sympathize with you, by the way. But then again, what would you want to be your legacy? Amidst all these things, what would you want to be your legacy at the Ministry of Health?
Yes, so I am a medical doctor, and I have practiced in various areas. I've practiced in hospitals like Kenyatta, which is the National Referral Hospital. I have practiced in the slums of Nairobi. Yes, I've worked with the international organization. And one thing that cuts across and really is dear to my heart is the concern of equity. Not all people can access quality services in this world. The needy, the vulnerable will just go home and die because the services are too expensive. So for me, it is indeed a privilege and an honor to serve in this capacity, and especially getting the highest, political will in the land so that we are really changing the health system. So for me, my legacy project is really to achieve a comprehensive universal health coverage for all Kenyans and ensuring that all Kenyans have access to affordable quality healthcare services. I also want to be remembered for having been involved in that transformative agenda of having a resilient health system in Kenya, and hopefully even have best practices in Africa and across the globe. So this is really exciting and thrilling, but we just hope that people will be able to understand that this is not only about individuals, but it's about all Kenyans accessing affordable quality services. Yes.
The tagline on KBC is Kenya is watching. I want to give you a moment on this camera here. There are Kenyans who are looking at you tonight. And they're looking at you with rays of hope because of what is happening, and particularly with the treatment under SHIF. I want you to give them your assurance as the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Health, on this camera.
Yes.
Yes.
So thank you very much. I want to assure all Kenyans that we are going to deliver this. What we want to tell you, please register. And again, for the political elite, for the religious leaders, for the stakeholders, we want to request for your support. Let us ensure that Kenyans are registering. Let us ensure that we are ultimately offering affordable, accessible, quality care, because this cannot be done alone. We need to hold hands. We need to bring this thing to fruition, especially when we have the highest political office in the land. We really need to work together. And I'm also calling upon the healthcare workers all around. You know, you have seen the cases out there, and you've sent even some patients at home because they didn't have money. So how can we work together to ensure that this is brought to success? So let us work together as a team. And Kenyans, please register for SHAM so that you can access these services.
All right. We want to wish you all the very best.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for honoring us with your presence tonight. And of course, as you continue to discharge your duties, we wish you all the very best. We've been speaking to the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Health, the Dr. Deborah Barasa, who's really emphasized much really on the transition from NHIF to SHIF. It's over about 50 days really since the transition, and of course there's some progress made towards the end. The Moi University Vice Chancellor, Professor Isaac Kosgei, is being questioned by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission at the Commission's offices in Eldoret over alleged financial mismanagement. The anti-graft body had earlier said that it is investigating the alleged embezzlement of more than 2.2 billion shillings at the university through fraudulent infrastructural projects.
What are your expectations? What are your expectations?
On tonight's episode of Cinemas and Theatre, we take a look at the film It's a Free Country that focuses on friends who find themselves on the run after haste takes a deadly turn. Pursued by ruthless politicians and his equally dangerous wife, who will need to outsmart their adversaries and stay one step ahead to survive. Our reporter Jacqueline Masharia has a sit-down with John Jumbe, the film director, and brings us the behind the scenes of making the film. Take a look.
Katika kitabu cha Isaya, maandiko matakatifu yanatueleza
It's a Free Country is a story that revolves around a group of friends whose routine job takes an unexpected turn, forcing them into a perilous game of survival against a powerful politician and his ruthless, power-hungry wife.
They took something of ours and we want it back.
Written and directed by John Jumbe and produced by Howie Oguna.
Kuoga hapa ni passport. Hatuna maji ya kuesta hapa.
The film uses satire to explore Kenya's socio-political landscape.
Wanaweza patikana. Nategemea.
Offering a gripping narrative filled with suspense, humor, and regret.
It's an interesting thing that we shot It's a Free Country 2023 last year. We prepared for It's a Free Country all the way from 2022. But it's interesting enough that some of the themes in the movie are actually relevant with the current happenings in the country, where we do have young people speaking or trying to resist oppressive leadership in their leaders.
The cast for It's a Free Country includes Julie Brenda Nyambura, Elsafa Njora, Neville Ignatius, Lona Lewi, Eddie Kimani, Kale Chemumo, Bilal Wanjau, Duncan Moronyo, Mugambi Indiga, Kamau Njenga, Christian Musyoka, and Victor Nyata.
Kuna mtu yeyote ambaye yuko na information, apige report mara moja.
John Jumbi, the film director, notes that each actor brought authenticity and intensity to their roles.
October 2022, right? That's when we put out a casting call, and we got over 300 responses, by the way. We were actually shocked. We didn't know we'd get that many back. Which just tells you how many people out there are looking for opportunities in this industry. So we fully casted from the casting call. We auditioned, we shortlisted, auditioned, had them send in tapes, and selected our cast from there. So I'd say, yeah, so a big portion of the cast, we were actually working with them for the first time. The production of the film was intense. We shot over about 12 locations, 12 to 14 locations actually. So we were spending on average about 2 days of on each location.
As the characters navigate a world of betrayal, corruption, and desperation, they are pushed to their limits.
Morning, children. Good morning, Mama.
But will they escape after a routine job goes horribly wrong?
Please come for the premiere. I'll start with that one because that's the most important. Come and watch the film with us on December 11th. On December 11th, when you come for the premiere, we will inform you of the different ways you'll be able to access our film. It being our first film, we're willing to experiment. We're willing to see the several options that we can put out there for people to access our film. So please come for our movie. Come for our premiere December 11th at the Sarit Expo Center. Tickets are available at madfan.com.
Jacqueline Masharia for cinemas and theatre.
Superstar. Sio mekwazo nje.
Have a complaint, or is something just not adding up with your pension scheme? It's easy to file a complaint directly with the Retirement Benefits Authority, and it's absolutely free. Just visit www.complaints.rba.go.ke and follow the prompts to file your complaint. RBA will acknowledge your complaint within 7 working days. Your complaint will be reviewed and addressed within 30 working days. Your time and peace of mind are important, and anyone dissatisfied with a decision of RBA can appeal to the Independent Retirement Benefits Appeals Tribunal. RBA is here to listen and resolve your complaint promptly because your retirement should be stress-free. For more information, visit our website www.rba.go.ke, call our toll-free line 0800-720-300 or email info@rba.go.ke. Secure your future. Secure your peace of mind. RBA, safeguarding your retirement benefits.
Christmas ni sahi ishafika na ni kubwa kubwa. Kweli? Hii Kristi ni bomba na Blue Santa kupitia star 570 hash option 1. Rudia. Star 570 hash option 1. Iko PlayStation 5 na 55 TV na iko 500,000 Kenyan shillings.
Nambuzi moja?
Nambuzi. 1 million Kenyan shillings na Samsung S24 Ultra.
Nambuzi moja?
Iko 2 million Kenyan shillings na iPhone 16 Pro Max.
Nambuzi mbili.
Blue Santa amekuja na zawadi kibao. Nani kubwa hapa kuna ndogo ndogo. kidogo. Hapa Christmas ni bomba!
Welcome back. You're watching the Prime Edition.
And Lands Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome now says the government through the Ministry of Lands has put in place stringent measures to combat land fraud as part of efforts to secure property ownership across the country following the loss of 367 land security papers at the government printer.
CS Wahome, who appeared before the Senate plenary, revealed that the ministry is working closely with investigative agencies to address loopholes that have exposed the integrity of land registration amid claims of tension between her office and the National Lands Commission.
Why we have changed our documentation is so that we make it difficult, we serialize, so that we make it difficult for you to get away with it, because previously it was becoming harder to identify between which title, because they all, when you read their title deed, they all look like they are proper titles. But with the additional safe security features, then you are able to deal with those. Kenya is still very far in terms of eradication of corruption. And my ministry is not safe. And that's why digitization is critical, so that you cannot disappear with records. Before you disappear with a record and come and form another record, I can never have a record then to compare which is the true record. With digitization, then we are in a better place.
And the Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen wants the National Youth Council Steering Committee to ensure the voices of the youth are heard across the country during the National Youth Council elections to be held between the 7th and 25th of February next year.
Speaking after unveiling the poll's steering committee, Murkomen said the elections that were last held in 2012 will enable the youth determine the direction of youth programs across the country.
Gloria Wawera has been named the new acting Chief Executive Officer of the very National Youth Council.
Opportunity for our youth to directly shape the policies and leadership that will govern them. Through these elections, young Kenyans will elect their leaders, giving them a platform to determine the direction of youth programs and initiatives across the country. Indeed, this is a significant step towards realizing our vision for more engaged and empowered young population. The steering committee that we are launching, which will oversee the election process, will ensure that the elections are conducted in a manner that reflects integrity, transparency, and fairness in line with our mantra of zero tolerance to bad governance.
A Nairobi woman has been charged by a Nairobi court with obtaining goods worth 19 million shillings through false pretense.
Halima, who runs a non-governmental organization, denied the charges and was released on a bail of 500,000 shillings and a bond of 200,000 shillings.
The case is set for hearing on the 4th of December.
Heard that Halima had on diverse days attempted to fraudulently obtain goods contrary to Section 313 of the Penal Code and conspiracy to commit a felony contrary to Section 393 of the Penal Code. This was through a stretch of diverse dates between 13th February and 20th March this year.
The intended accused person to a bond of Kenya shillings 500,000 with a surety of a similar amount, and then alternatively a cash bill of 200,000. with 2 contact persons. So the matter will be mentioned before court number 5 for further directions and orders.
The prosecution opposed the release of the accused on bail, citing prior offences equating to the current charges. The defence argued that due to time constraints, they were not able to file a formal application.
What the defence counsel sought was time to file a formal application seeking time constraint. The application has been vivaciously opposed by the prosecuting counsel, Ms. Kariuki. She urged that nothing bars the court from proceeding with plea taking. No grounds had been adduced, she submitted that by dint of Section 193A of the Criminal Procedure Code, both criminal and civil procedure can proceed contemporaneously.
Senior Principal Magistrate Ben Mark Ikubi granted the prosecution time to apply, though he stated that the accused had attended prior hearings and posted bail.
I'm of the considered view that the intended accused person ought to be granted time to file a formal application to be determined on merit. I find that preliminarily the defense counsel have raised substantive issue on the defectiveness of the charge sheet.
Letua Deborah for Prime Edition.
Police in Kajiado County are holding 2 suspects linked to a vehicle vandalism racket that has caused motorists untold suffering in the last 6 months.
The 2 suspects were ambushed by police officers within the Blue Sky estate on Tuesday night.
According to Kajiado Central Police Commander John Othiambo, the 2 broke into Homestead and vandalized the vehicle.
Kajiado Central Police Commander John Othiambo said the suspects were nabbed with vehicle headlights and side mirrors, 343 inches TVs, a laptop, 2 mobile phones, bunches of keys with 100 pieces, different number plate stickers with different numbers and letters, 2 steel metal bars and other assorted items.
Wamevamia sana ni estates, especially those are the people ambaye wanaweza kuwa na ili vitu wanataka, kama hiyo ma TV sets, kama hiyo ma computers, nae wanatega aidha wakati mvua inanyesha ama wakati watu wameenda kazi. Na ukiangalia hapo kando iko tools yenye wanatumia kwa kuvunja, na hata wakitembea hiyo macrobas wanaweka ndani ya mavuli, so hata akibeba unafikiria amebeba mavuli, kumbe amebeba tool ya kwenda kuvunja naye nyumba. It's a very strong metal yenye akiingiza tu kifuli inatoka.
Also nabbed were an assorted of crude weapons used by the suspect to commit crimes. The duo is being held at Kajiado Police Station. Locals said the gang has caused untold suffering to the motorists in their state.
Nimekuwa victim wa gari kuharibiwa tu hivyo ambao unaona mata. Hata kuna wakati moja tu wakati ambaye iliibiwa nilikuwa tu kwa media nikicomplain that time. Na tunashukuru sana OCS.
So ile kitu ningependa kuuliza wananchi ni ya kwamba wapeane information. Juu hawa watu tuko na wao hapa, na mtu akiibiwa tafadhali awe akiripoti.
And finally, civil society actors in Kisumu are threatening to storm the offices of the security agencies over what they describe as failure by the government agencies to tame rising insecurity in the Lakeside County. The activists were accusing the police of laxity, even as Kisumu residents continue to agonize in the hands of killer gangs.
The issue of insecurity is not because waizi wamewashinda. It is because you are sleeping on your job. And we are giving you 1 week, 7 days. If we don't see reforms and a stop to the issues of insecurity, we will be occupying those police stations. Starting with Kondele and Kasagam police stations. Those are the areas where insecurity is rampant.
Time now to get an update on matters business. My name is Betty Kiptum. All ministries and state agencies will be required to provide detailed cost breakdowns to justify their funding requests. National Treasury Principal Secretary, that is Dr. Chris Kipto, says the method, which will take effect on in the 2025-2026 fiscal year, will ensure that funds are not automatically allocated to programs that may no longer be feasible.
The implementation of the financial year 2024-2025 budget has faced major hurdles, exposing weaknesses in the traditional incremental budgeting system. By October 2024, revenue collection stood at 854.5 billion shillings, falling short of the 928.2 billion shillings target by 73.7 billion shillings. Ordinary revenue underperformed by 48.6 billion shillings as ministerial appropriations in aid fell short by 25.1 billion shillings.
We will be spending 1.009 trillion Kenya shillings to pay interest rates for the loans that we already have as a country, not the loans that are being borrowed, the loans we have borrowed in the past.
We need to work around addressing debt and as a recurring so that we create a fiscal space to be able to give money to roads and to important areas that you spoke about.
At the national level, pending bills accumulated to 528.4 billion shillings and a total of 181.98 billion shillings in pending bills owed by counties.
The government will in this regard initiate major reforms, including accrual accounting to curb the pending bills problem.
The new zero-based budgeting approach seeks to ensure effective allocation of public resources.
This scrutiny has the potential to reduce corruption and mismanagement of public funds. Further, with citizens' input, we get valuable insights into localized priorities and solutions.
The government says it is intensifying its fiscal consolidation efforts to stabilize the economy and curb public debt, with future focus being on priority programs under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
Now, dairy farmers will have to wait a little longer for improved earnings from milk sales beyond the government's recommended retail price of 50 shillings per litre. Agriculture and Livestock Development Cabinet Secretary Dr. Andrew Karanja says the government is going back to the drawing board to review milk prices to include new findings as contained in the latest cost of milk production report. Here is more.
Industry data shows that milk delivery processing farms hit 75.68 million litres in December last year, the highest in 29 months following sufficient rains that kept prices stable. However, government says it has received concerns from farmers that they are yet to benefit from government's pricing benchmark of 50 shillings per litre.
I know there has been an issue about farmers wanting us to declare a certain price. We are going to look at that report, which has been produced. We have launched today, so that when we are making the pronouncement, we are guided by the findings of the report. But definitely it is in the range which we mentioned, about 50, 60, 50 are there.
Speaking as he launched the latest cost of milk report, the Agriculture CS noted that better prices will help farmers safeguard against rising costs of animal feeds, adding that the government is beginning further interventions to address teething challenges such as cooling infrastructure and taxes in the sector.
You like what we are saying about encouraging further production. We also like to formulation of feeds. Making sure that if there are any taxes which are hindering in terms of feed formulation, we work on them.
The Kenya Dairy Board's Cost of Milk 2024 report indicates that overall milk yield has improved, with the average prices offered by cooperatives ranging from 38 shillings to 48 shillings at an overall mean of 43 shillings a litre. And on costs and returns of milk production, the report indicates that enterprises in the dairy sector are profitable, with profits hitting 28 shillings per litre. However, when total costs are added, the profit averages reduce to about 10 to 14 shillings per litre, depending on the system of production.
When you look at the report that we did in 2021 and now what we have done, we have seen progress, even in terms of production per animal. It has gone up to about 10 litres per cow. Previously, we were doing between 6 and 7 litres, so it's progress.
Another major highlight in the report shows that milk production costs are majorly driven by feeds, which stand at between 48% to 58% of the total cost of milk production, indicating the need for addressing animal feed costs to reduce overall cost of milk production. However, the government now says that there is one more thing that farmers need to work on, and this is the quality of this glass of milk. Alan Auko, Prime Edition.
Alan there enjoying a glass of milk. Now, the government is preparing a dividends policy that will regulate dividends issuance to SACCOs. Cooperative and SMEs Cabinet Secretary Wycliffe Oparanya says some SACCOs that are in financial distress borrowed commercial loans to pay higher dividends to attract more members. SACCO leaders have been encouraged to consider self-regulation to enhance accountability.
They give a reasonable dividend to attract people. Unasikia mwingine anakuambia we'll give you 10 times your deposit and you pay in 10 years. Sasa hapo ndio wanaingia kwa ile kitu unasikia sasa anakuuliza na liquidity ratios. These numbers, how are they going to attain them? Kunakuwa na shida. Let us work on this value chain.
Ours is to ensure we voice out and we sit down to ensure that corporate governance in cooperative movement continue to improve, to ensure a shilling in the bank and a shilling in the circle, all of them are safe. So a member does not have a choice to go to a bank. His money in the circle is equally safe.
That even some cooperatives have paid dividend out of losses, or they have borrowed money from the bank to pay dividend when they have made losses. Dividend is usually, for prudent purposes, is usually paid from profits or from retained earnings from the previous years. So we have decided as a ministry that the Commission of Cooperative will be issuing a guideline before the end of this year, so that all cooperative societies and circles follow that particular guideline that the ministry will give.
The Kenya Revenue Authority is advocating for a level playing field where every Kenyan contributes their fair share of taxes. Joab Otieno, who is the head of tax services in Nakuru County, highlighted the ongoing Jenais na Receipt Legit campaign, which promotes the issuance and use of ETR receipts for businesses. ETR receipts help in claiming VAT refunds, while for non-VAT registered individuals, these receipts support claims against declared income when filing tax returns. This initiative aims to enhance tax compliance with the ultimate goal of fostering economic growth and sustainability. Tomorrow, the campaign caravan will proceed to Kakamega County, where on Friday, the caravan will make stops in Mumias, Matungu, Shianda, Navaholo, Mwanza, Lurambi in Kakamega.
We are trying to create awareness with generating teams ETR receipts. Once those are generated, then that will enable at least compliance levels to go up, and also, help build the country at large, not just Nakuru County. We need to create a level playing field. Once ETR receipts, teams ETR receipts are issued, then there'll be a level playing field for tax payments, not just the businesses. And also the taxes that are collected will help towards, helping the country, achieve all the services that are needed to be provided to the citizens of the country. I'm encouraging anybody who walks into any shop that once you make a purchase of any product, kindly request for a team's ETR receipt. Once you have that receipt, for the people who are in business, you'll be able to make claims against your VAT returns.
Banking institutions have been called to adopt the new revised standardized environmental, social and governance reporting standards. Rodney Omari, Secretary in the State Department of Environment, says the new principles rolled out by the International Finance Corporation will lead to a more sustainable financial ecosystem, ultimately benefiting Kenya and future generations.
Banking institutions have continued making strides in championing a green economy by supporting enterprises and tech innovators through sustainable lending. However, the government is on the forefront of ensuring policies align with guiding principles and the objectives of the Paris Agreement. Rodney Omari is urging players in the sector to adapt to the new environmental, social and governance reporting principles to enhance transparency and consistency in sustainability disclosures across the financial sector.
As at now, what we need to work on is the green procurement. In that, as you know, government is the single largest procuring entity in the country. So the 3 trillion that is collected every year and is spent by government in one way or the other, we are encouraging other government bodies to make sure that when they are buying, they buy green.
Speakers during the inaugural Banking Industry Sustainable Finance Summit emphasized that the mandatory adoption of agreed-upon standards is crucial for fostering uniformity in ESG reporting.
Banks will now be advised on how to report on their activities, how they have factored environmental and social and corporate governance issues into their strategic plan.
The initiative aims to improve the comparability of disclosures, allowing stakeholders to make better informed decisions regarding sustainable investments. Frederick Mwoki for Prime Edition.
Still on sustainability, Cooperative Bank's commitment to prioritizing sustainable financial practices saw the Tier 1 lender emerge the overall winner in this year's Sustainable Finance Catalyst Awards. The lender noted that its businesses were appraised on whether they had covered the essential indicators, which included the impact to the gross domestic product, the growth of the business, job creation and support of minority groups, including women and youth. The awards created by the Kenya Bankers Association were developed to recognize institutions that practice sustainable finance, which has a direct positive impact on the financial sector, the economy, the environment, and the society at large. Moving on, tourism industry players from Kenya and neighboring Uganda have come together to build strong working synergies and leverage each other's strengths to grow the industry. The third Uganda-Kenya Coast Tourism Conference ongoing in Uganda has brought together tour operators and other industry players to leverage the offering of both countries to attract more tourists.
You know, there has been a lot of talk, especially at the East African community level, about promoting East Africa as a single tourist destination. But what we are doing is the practical side to what has been talked about in the program.
We are here in Uganda to attend the third Uganda conference. It's been such a beautiful surprise. Beautifully surprised. This country is beautiful. They have wonderful, wonderful cultural experiences.
Kenya and Uganda are very unique destinations on their own. What Kenya has could not be available in Uganda.
And to address the fake seeds menace in the country, the Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service is conducting farmer sensitization to create awareness on how to identify certified seeds. Seed companies have also assured of their commitment to work closely with KEFIs to ensure that no fake seeds are being sold in agrovets in the country. Imenti North Deputy County Commissioner Odilia Ndeti says the move seeks to ensure that farmers to enable farmers plant high-quality seeds, which will give them high yields.
Kuongea na wakulima, tuwahamasishe wajue wakati wananunua mbegu ni kitu gani wanatakikana waangalie katika zile pakiti ama pahali mbegu zinauzwa.
Kama mtu hana license ya kuuza mbegu, tafadhali usinunue. Hata kama mimi ni mbegu yangu, usinunue. Kwa sababu gani? Katika hiyo hali utajipata unanunua mbegu, unaweza kujipata unanunua mbegu gushi.
And that is all the business news we had for you this evening. Sports news is coming up with Karen Kibet. My name is Betty Kiptum. Have yourself a good night.
Ungependa kuwa mshindi na Lucky Box? Ni rahisi sana.
Bonyeza *463# uwe mshindi.
Moja katika jinsi ya kuweza kujibiwa dua za Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala ni kwa kufanya rakaa 2 na kusoma dua.
Ukiwa na haja yote, jambo lolote unalitaka katika mambo yako ya kidini na dunia na akhera, nenda shika udhu.
Mtu anaweza kuwa mshindi. Bonyeza *463#. uwe mshindi. Kuchagua box ni kuchagua chapa.
Kumbuka, kila unapocheza Lucky Box unasaidia watoto kusoma.
Say bye-bye to FOMO, the fear of missing out, by downloading the KBC Online app that gives you access to everything you love. Get the latest news, sport,
is a class
music, entertainment news, live radio, and so much more at the palm of your hands. To get the app, simply search KBC Mobile Digital app in your Google Play or App Store and download the app. Catch what you want, anytime, anywhere. Stay connected. Stay ahead with KBC Mobile Digital app.
Tulikuwa tumekaa tu nyumbani na mama hapo tunatulia.
Mamako?
Mamako? Si mamangu, manzi yangu.
Nani?
Manzi yangu.
Nasikia umeoa mwisho ni mdogo kushinda huyo. Sasa tu ndio umemwondesha hiyo tabia.
I can do it. Hata wazazi. Kwa hivyo mimi nilikufa. Kwa maisha mtoto yangu. Are you single or married?
None of them. Business. Sasa hiyo inahusika wapi na hiyo?
Unaona hata huyu utapata hapo na mtoto kidogo.
Wewe.
Hiyo ndio shida.
Wewe toka.
Wewe heshimu koti.
Wewe usimtafutie bibi.
Heshimu koti. Wewe heshimu koti, heshimu koti.
Ngendo alikukupali amepata.
Welcome back to KBC Prime Edition. I do hope you're holding up well. Let's now take at the day's sports. Let's take a look at the day's sports. The Kenya Basketball Men's League champions Nairobi City Thunder will be out to register impressive performance in the forthcoming Road to Basketball Africa League BAL Elite 16 final qualifiers scheduled from the 28th of November to the 3rd of December this year at the Kasarani Indo Arena and Nyayo Gymnasium in Nairobi.
Nairobi City Thunder is raring to go ahead of the final round of Basketball Africa League L16 qualifiers in Nairobi. After an outstanding season, Thunder qualified for the final round of the qualifiers after finishing second during the Group D qualifiers held in Tanzania in October. The team has been bolstered by roping in the services of three players, Uchenna Iregbu, Atek Majok and Harun Abdullahi.
I like Ater Majok and Abdullahi Haruna, even UC, who was with us in Tanzania. Those are guys that have all played in ball. They've, some of them to very high levels and, very effective for their teams, produced a lot. So we're happy to have them with us. I think we can really feel like we can count on them in crucial moments in big games. They've been raising the level of competition in our practices. They've been talking to a lot of our guys on the side, just helping them know what it takes to really be successful and where we're going. So it's been great.
Forward Tylon Gwai, who played a pivotal role in Thunder's qualification, believes the squad will not disappoint at home as he rallied fans to come out in large numbers and support the team.
We are really talented, but the main thing is how can we put all that talent together to play as a team. So coach has been doing a good job during the last few weeks of trying to make us to play more as a team rather than more than individual. And I think when we get that and we have started getting it, we're going to be so much better and unstoppable.
Other elite teams participating in the qualifiers include Uganda City Oilers, NB Academy, Urunani from Burundi, South Africa's MBB, as well as Bravehearts from Zambia, Matero Magic from Malawi, and South Sudan's Fox Basketball Club complete the 8-team list. In the meantime, the Kenya Basketball Federation has appealed for support so as to hold a successful tournament, which is crucial for the premier professional basketball league in Africa.
To deliver a world-class event, we need support from all stakeholders. This include, but are not limited to, logistics, which is assistance with transportation of officials, the VIPs, the technical teams, as well as the players and their contingents.
The road to BAL is set to be held at Kasarani and Nyayo Gymnasiums, with the Federation calling for partnerships in logistics, publicity and finances. Bernard Okumu, Prime Edition.
Thank you, Okumu, for that report. Moving on, the Kenya national swimming team is looking forward to reclaiming their title in the 9th Africa Aquatics Zone 3 Swimming Championship, scheduled to take place in Burundi this week. The team leaves for Bujumbura tomorrow morning. The team of 46 young and promising swimmers have been training at the Kasarani in preparation for the regional event, which has attracted teams from the hosts Burundi, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Congo, and South Sudan. Other invited teams include Somalia, Ethiopia, Zimbabwe, South Africa, and Zambia. Kenya last won the event in 2020 in Tanzania, but finished second last year in Rwanda. Coach Peter Mwangangi is, however, confident in the team's ability to reclaim Kenya's glory with the current generation of swimmers who are eager to stamp their name on the big stage.
My team is well prepared. I had a session with them early in the day at Kasarani, and the team was highly motivated, in good spirit. They reported well. 98% of the swimmers were in the camp, and they were ready for the championship, and I'm quite sure they are going to do exemplary well.
I'm confident that we're going to improve all our times, we're going to do well, because I know everyone on that team is going to put their best foot forward and to just make sure that we do the country proud.
Mozambique and Botswana booked their remaining slots to the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations after the final day of qualifying to complete the 24 nations list to Morocco. Botswana drew 1-1 with Egypt in Group C to get the point they needed to qualify for their second finals, as Mozambique beat Guinea-Bissau 2-1 in Group A. Taifa Stars of Tanzania sealed their slot from Group H following a 1-0 victory over Guinea to join fellow East Africans Uganda and Sudan in the finals, as Kenya missed out.
Is superb out of absolute nowhere. That's one of the best strikes we've seen in the delivery. In comes the ball. Good looking delivery, and there is the goal. It's Beto. In comes the ball, headed towards goal and in.
FIFA World Cup winners Argentina edged closer to booking their ticket to the 2026 World Cup after beating Peru 1-0 in the CONMEBOL qualifiers. The goal was scored by Lautaro Martinez, who made it 32nd in his international career from a Lionel Messi assist, which also saw him level the late Diego Maradona's goals for his country. In other matches, Brazil drew 1-1 with Uruguay as Chile beat Venezuela 4-2. And finally, Germany are through to the quarterfinals of the UEFA Nations League despite being held to a 1-1 draw by Hungary after a late penalty equalizer from Dominic denied them 3 points in the Group A match. Netherlands drew 1-0 with Bosnia, who were relegated to League B, as top scorer Victor netted 4 in Sweden's 6-0 demolition of Azerbaijan.
High drama with that late Soboslai penalty.
And that report brings us to the end of the sports news tonight. My name is Karen Kibet. Don't go too far, as right after this short break, my colleagues Doreen and Kioria will be back with more from me.
Kibet says we have more, Kioria.
I doubt we have. I doubt we have.
We need to be exiting. But tomorrow,
Absolutely.
This is the place to be for the State of the Nation address as mandated by the Constitution Article 132, subsection 1, where the President is expected to address the joint sitting of Parliament. Key issues supposed to be coming to the fore tomorrow.
It's around the clock coverage. And of course, as you remember, this is a mid-term kind of assessment report coming from the President regarding his administration, and much of it reporting about how the economy is doing and how Kenya is fulfilling her international obligations, after which reports will be handed to the Speaker of the National Assembly. It will form part of debate for the next 4 days in the National Assembly and probably even in the Senate as they discuss plus, because it's a joint sitting
Exactly.
of both houses.
Yes, that means both the Senate and the National Assembly. And tomorrow, this is the place to be for that live coverage. Nonetheless, for tonight, you have to exit this space and sit down for the next program. This has been Prime Edition.
Thank you very much. Brian Muraru has been a sign language interpreter. My name is John Jacob Kioria. Good night.
And I'm Doreen Arange. Good night.
Star 570 hash. Option 1 kuna PS5 na ni full package na inakuja na JBL Party Box. Hiyo boom experience pia iko.